beautiful rendition from Joshua Baraka, Simi, King Madi, and Axon with the one called Dalila Part 2. And if you've listened to Part 1, you know that Part 2 it sounds even better. Bringing our time now to 7:15 on the clock. What's 8:16? What am I saying? I'm still in the past when everybody else is in the present. Anyway, it's 8:16 right here on The Breakfast Show with Timmy Ty Peters and myself, Mr. Feeney, your host this morning. Today is World Environment Day. Timmy, you want to tell us about that?
Yes, it's a day that is set aside to make awareness about our environment and then how to keep our environment neat, tidy, and also sensitize people about the importance of health. Keeping your environment healthy is very important, because I remember it rained which day was it? Last week it poured heavily, and I saw a video of where people were, I think, we have dirt on the drainage and all of that, so which is actually not a good thing. I've heard a lot of times on the radio where presenters have to sensitize people out there, and even maybe an analyst or an official have to tell people that please don't pour your dirt into the drainage while it is raining, because it blocks movement and all of that. In fact, I think that was part of the reason styrofoam was banned. The styrofoam paper people used to get food and all of that. And that was more reason it was banned from Lagos State, especially. I don't know for other states, right? So it's a day that we need to talk about our environment, the awareness, and how to keep healthy environment. So that's it. All basically
right. According to the UN, the slogan for this year's World Environment Day is "Our land, our future." Yes, "Our land, our future" is a slogan for this year's commemoration of World Environment Day, because all over the world ecosystems are threatened, from forest and dry lands to farmlands and lakes, natural spaces on which humanity exists, and we depend on the land. And it's high time that we begin to see ourselves as parts of the land and not as something that we just use, because we as humans sometimes have a tendency to just use things, forgetting that even the things that we use, we are also supposed to care for it and treat it better than we currently are doing. There are problems of desertification. There is a problems of landfills where refuse dumps, and there's a problem of plastic. Plastic is a huge problem in our world today, and recycling.
Unlike other country where you have to just take your PET bottles and then you get paid.
Even over there, where we think that recycling is better, in some other countries, if you really look at the data, you find out that it's still a minuscule amount of recycling that is done in comparison with the amount of plastic that is being
out
used
there,
and thrown out every day.
And that was why it is encouraged that if you have it, come and then get money. I think the money is just like a bait for you to bring more, and so that you won't litter.
Yeah, beyond that, that's a good one, really. But even beyond that, we need a lot more sustainable actions taking towards reducing plastic production and consumption. I know a particular store where if you go to buy stuff there, they ask you to pay. In fact, they even discourage you from getting the nylon. They'll tell you, we have cartons, paper cartons, if you want to use cartons to take your goods, but then if you want a nylon, you have to pay for it.
Yes.
Because they don't want you to use nylons, and because plastics, as simple as they are, take years to degrade, if at all. Well, this morning we'll be talking about the environment and our attitude to the environment. We have on the phone someone, I don't know if it's pronounced Wole Wole or Wole Wole.
Wole Wole.
Oh, Wole Wole.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Wole Wole today, which means the sanitary inspector is here. It's a non-profit organization whose main objective is to promote public health and highlight the crucial role of environmental health officers in society through education, advocacy, and practical solutions. Where we have on the phone sanitarian Sude Damilola Timlara, who's going to be talking to us this morning regarding our environment on this day, the commemoration of World Environment Day. A very good morning to you, sanitarian Sude Damilola. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. Very well, and you?
We're great. We're great. We're great. To start with, Miss Damilola, what are the primary responsibilities of environmental health officers, and how do they impact public health?
Thank you very much for that
Please,
question.
you have to speak up. We can hear you, but we need you to project better.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Better.
it's better.
Can you hear me better
It's
now?
better.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's cool. It's cool.
Okay, back to your question. Thank you very much for the question. Well, sanitary inspector actually started a very long time ago. I think during the colonial time, where we had a plague that came out then. So the colonial masters thought about, training people that can help with advocacy, learning the 2 or 3 things, learning something. Can you hear me better, please? Okay, learning 1 or 2 things so that they can know what needs to be put in check. Okay, when you see something like this is what it is. How do you go from there forward? So they put 1 or 2 things in place. So it started evolving where school and institution came out. That's Lagos State College of Health Technology, Yaba. So they had a lot of people they had to train. They even paid them to come to school then. So that was how it evolved. And we have like 36 College of Health in Nigeria. We also have private College of Health. So that's just how the whole thing started.
All right. Speaking of the environment, the UN says that the slogan for this year is "Our Land, Our Future," highlighting problems of desertification, landfills. But let's talk about landfills and the problem that landfills currently pose to the environment and our health as a people. Would you want to speak on that for a minute or two?
Okay, thank you very much. When you talk about landfill is just like a particular place set aside where your refuse can be carted to, rather than having different spots where we stay. So let's have a particular place where we just gather our refuse, then segregation begins, recycling moves from there, things like that. But in our own situation, our landfill is not strong enough because there's no way we can manage leachate. Leachate is like the substance that comes from decomposing refuse. It has a way of contaminating the underground source water and also polluting the environment, which can cause disease outbreaks. So I think that's one basic thing about it.
All right. So how you say now something about contaminating underground source water? So you're saying that the refuse that we throw out and we think that is the end somehow still find its way back to us.
Exactly. It's like a cycle.
Wow.
That's how it goes. So why it decomposes, it goes down there, even goes as far as killing the microbes that are supposed to help our environment.
Wow.
To help us have a sustainable and healthy environment. So
Okay. Ms. Damilola, what challenges do environmental health officers face in enforcing environmental health policies? How do they navigate these challenges? How?
I think one of the basic challenges we have is...
Hello?
Sorry,
Okay.
I think my network.
Oh,
Right, go
okay.
ahead.
We can hear you now.
One of the basic challenges we have, I think political interference forms a very big part of it.
Okay,
Because
you want to explain that to us?
trying to carrying out our duties sometimes can be influenced by political offices, which is not totally healthy for us. You know, when you're supposed to go a particular mile, then you're being told to restrain. So it forms a little, hindrance to carrying out our
It
activities.
impedes your...
Then Then also we have unemployment. It's a big challenge because after going to these schools, we come out and we're not in the system where we're supposed to be. So it causes a little drag in how health should be in the environment.
Okay.
Then we are actually classified as preventive doctors. So we are supposed to make the job for curative doctors, which are the medical doctors, more easier. But if we're not there, we're supposed to break the chains of disease transmission, spread, and outbreaks. But if we're not there, a lot of things tend to go wrong.
So you're saying that there are not enough environmental health officers as there are needed. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So they are short, they are understaffed.
So
understaffed.
what problems have you faced with wole wole, right? What problems have you faced with wole wole and raising awareness as it relates to environmental health? So just talk to us about that with your NGO there.
Please, can you say the question again?
So my question is the challenges that you have faced in your advocacy with your NGO wole wole.
Okay.
Yeah, what problems have you faced in creating awareness?
The problem I faced, one problem we faced is relationship with the community. The community have lost hope in having a healthier environment. So trying to explain to them that, okay, this is how it should be. This is what is needed to be done. They don't even feel they have a lot of apathy for anything that deals with health, government, society, because everybody believes I can go solo. And in this world, you can't actually do solo. There's no how. Even as in the environment, the animals too can't do solo. So we all need one another. We form like a cycle, which is the ecosystem. We help, it's symbiotic. We help one another to live. So trying to go out there and tell people, oh, this is what, it is a big problem. And I think language barrier too. Language barrier too is a big problem.
Like in places that it's only Yoruba they understand, for instance. Oh, hello, can you hear us?
Trying to reconnect there with that. If you're just joining us, this is Smiles Radio 98.7 FM, the breakfast show with Temitope Peters and Mr. Finney, and we have on the line an advocate from Wole Wole, which is an NGO. Wole Wole means the sanitary inspector is here. So it's an NGO that is drawing attention to environmental and public health and the role that we have to play on that ground. We're trying to reconnect with Sanitarian Sude Damilola, who is talking to us this morning on the subject of the UN's commemoration of today being World Environment Day. And the slogan for this year is Our Land, Our Future. And she said something which is really important, that sometimes people look at these things as separate from themselves and they do not see it as something that should be done. I beg. You tell somebody, oh, why are you throwing dirt in the gutter? Why did you eat and you just threw the bottle on the road? I beg. In Nigeria we did. And people don't see that these things eventually come back to you. She said all the refuse that we are dumping, PSP will come and pack it and dump in the landfills, landfills. Eventually these things decompose and
they still come back
because of the amounts, the tons of refuse there. There's something she called, I don't remember that particular phrase, that it decomposes and finds its way back into the ground, into the water that we will still drink later, and so it still comes back to us.
Okay, is she?
I'm still trying to connect with her. I think we're back on now. Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning. Can you hear us?
Oh, yes, we can hear you. So we wanted you to wrap up the answer you were giving us so that we can move to other questions. Or were you done?
I think I've done with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
you spoke about that. You people are preventive doctors, right?
Yes.
So I want to ask, what have you done, or have you found yourself in a situation like this before, in a place whereby you've inspected that maybe refuse were packed or cleaned from a certain house or a school environment, and you've already you've erected a signboard that don't dump refuse, and people still come to dump refuse after it's still being cleaned up? Has that happened to you? If yes, what have you done? Or if you've been in that kind of situation before? Because I have seen don't dump refuse and people still keep dumping refuse and nothing is being done. In fact, it's in the front of a school.
Okay, so
it's funny,
your
right?
question is very, very interesting. Yeah, it's very funny because we do that. That happens a lot of times. You tell them, don't do this. They will still do it. I know what funny thing is. You don't even know who to pick. Like, okay, I saw you here. You're the one I'm going to pick. You want to know. And I'm very sure that school has been taking out the dirt so many times. And I'm sure they got tired of it. They had to leave it like, we're done doing this. But I think one thing they should also consider is the students they are very, very important. Their health is important.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ra. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
It's a primary school. it's a primary school, and it's at the front of this primary school almost every day. Do you know, one time like that, I went for an occasion. I was coming back at the middle of the night. In fact, early in the morning, I think around 4 a.m. thereabout, and I saw somebody packed refuse in a sack, and the guy was going there because I was looking back. I had to turn in the car that I was to look at the guy. The guy was literally going there to pour the refuse. So you can't really apprehend anybody and say, oh, you were the one who poured this. So what can you do in that regard as a public health officer?
Your question is it's a lot, because we've tried so many things, as much as going through the enforcement way. But the enforcement way is not as strong, because if you're not careful, you'll pick the wrong people. You would definitely pick the wrong people. So I think the more we actually face these things, the more we push out awareness there. Because I think people don't know the consequences of what they are doing. And some of them intentionally decide not to follow through.
I agree.
But it's as important as do your best and let God do the rest. Because how many people do you want to pick? And Ministry of Environment, the commissioner has done so much, from putting people by the roadside to watch midnight. We get calls in the midnight where, oh, something like this is happening, where the commissioner had to put different calls through to call people to go out there and check what is going on. There are times where you have to steal a particular premises because they're not following the rules. You have to go there maybe midnight, just lock up the place, then we'll have a discourse afterwards. You have to make sure you go through the right process, do the things you're supposed to do. Then we'll open up your premises. But if you don't, there's always court involved. There's always court summons involved. If you know you're not going to do this, if we warned you and you're not going to go through this, we'll definitely take it up. You are going to the court, and the court will actually just give the judgment for it.
Oh,
so that's just like...
Okay, because I remember sometime... I remember some time ago, I think it was within Beggar Access. I saw it in the papers that some persons, I think passengers, were apprehended. They were arrested for throwing dirt out of the commercial bus window. I saw it. So maybe that will serve as a deterrent or something. So lastly, Ms. Damilola, can you give us examples of recent initiatives or programs led by the environmental health sector to improve public health in Nigeria? Maybe some initiatives, programs, projects that people might not be aware of, like you spoke about sensitization, creating awareness there. Are there any? So if they are, whoever might be listening can know that at least something is being done and they can be part of it one way or the other.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. I can't really put out the initiatives and projects there, because they are individual projects, they are community projects, and they are government projects. Today being World Environment Day, tomorrow some initiatives are planning to have cleanups in their various environments. Today some people are out there already creating awareness. So I can't even say this is a particular person doing this. Everyone is just trying to come together, collaborate, and just keep the message, keep preaching the message that different people, as far as there was one that happened last weekend. A 200 level student of LASO, Lagos State University, left our school, came to Okoko Micro Junction to actually clear an illegal site for 10 good hours.
10 hours clearing a dump site.
10 hours. She couldn't even clear half of it because the dirt was it formed layers. So she was trying to get through the first layer, second layer, third layer. Wow. She barely made a lot of progress because the dump site was something else. So she went 10 good hours to make sure, out of the passion she had, voluntarily, not like they're paying her. Her foundation had to go out there to do the best that they can do. So we need a lot of people coming together, collaborating. We need volunteers. We need the youth. One thing we don't understand is whatever we give to the environment, it will bring it back to us. We have limited resources on Earth. Not like we have an extension to Mars or Jupiter. We have just one Earth and limited resources. So we should know how to manage our resources and try to keep it for the next generation, because climate change is on the high rise. So
All right.
That's
Thank
all
you. Thank you very, very much. Convener of the non-governmental organization Wole 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 Wole.
Wole Fini.
Wole
What is
Wole.
happening
Ah,
this
God.
morning?
It's so obvious that I'm not Moeko.
Okay, just speak English.
Just say Wole Wole.
Just speak
Okay.
English.
So Wole Wole is the sanitary inspector is here, an NGO dedicated to creating awareness regarding the environment and environmental health. Thank you so much, sanitarian Sude Damilola Temilara, for talking to us this morning.
Thank
we
you so
appreciate
much
your
for
time.
having me.
But in case
Happy World Environment Day.
Yes,
Thank
happy
you.
World Environmental Day. Oh, in case people want to ask one or two questions, how can they reach out to you? Is there an email address, social media handle?
Yes, there is an email address. That's wolewoletoday@gmail.com.
You might want to
You can
spell the
send in
wole
your
wole
questions.
so that they won't talk like Finny.
WOLE. Sorry. WOLEWOLETIDE@gmail.com.
Oh,
Then you can also check on Instagram. You can reach out via Instagram.
same handle.
Yes, same handle.
Wole wole.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you very much. That was an insightful conversation with Miss Damilola Temilara. Thank you so much. To have a great day for yourself.
Enjoy the rest
Thank
of your
you
day.
so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Smiles Radio 98.7 FM is the frequency this morning. Mr. Finney Temitayo Peters, we are the pilot on the breakfast show this morning. It's been an amazing ride from 7:05 up until now. We had the paper report, the traffic report. We reported the news to you at the top of the hour. And also we've spoken about the World Environmental Day with the sanitarian. And she was able to give us some insight to what is being done and to let you know that they are understaffed. They are doing so much, but then they still need more hands for more work to be done. Like I said earlier, a signboard was erected and said it was inscribed on it, do not dump refuse or don't dump refuse, but you still see people, they will come. And he said that if you want to start apprehending people, it's just like you apprehend people you are not supposed to apprehend, right? You're going to cause havoc. You're going to arrest somebody that is innocent, just like people that maybe you assault a policeman or a military personnel, and the person that committed the havoc isn't there. It's other people that doesn't even know about the issue that will pay for it. So in a bit not to allow such to happen, I think we need more awareness, because why is it that when rain is falling, that's when you decide to bring all the refuse in your house or in your compound and pour in the drainage, and by so doing, that one might block one or two things. I don't want that saying so. Even you've heard situation whereby sanitary towel blocks the WC. You know, how much more of refuse and all of that.
You know, we've been talking about refuse a lot this morning, but when it comes to environmental degradation, we also have to bring into account the fact that oil exploration is a big problem. And we have some of these multinational companies in our country exploring oil and debilitating, degrading, just destroying the environment in the process. You have places like Oloibiri and other places in the south.
Yes,
the fishes in the sea
region
have died and in the rivers have died. The land has become black because of oil exploration, and these companies are doing very little to the host. I mean, you're taking from a place,
making billions of dollars.
Exactly where you're eating from. This is where you're literally eating from, and the place is terrible. Exactly. These are some of the things that it's not like there are not policies, right? But then you have someone who's supposed to receive stipends from a company. Now, let's say a particular oil company is supposed to pay an amount to the host community, and then you have the person or the people receiving that funds meant for the cleanup of the environment
for something else, or not even disbursing it.
Exactly. And then we have look, you know what's happening right now in places like India? I was reading yesterday, I think it was this morning, about how people are dying of heat stroke. And I was reading the mathematics of it, how, you know, our body generates heat, we know that, and then you sweat, you know, to cool your body down. Heat stroke happens when the atmosphere around you and the atmosphere and the temperature within your body somehow tallies to a point where you're not able to sweat properly, and then the heat, you're literally overheating. So in simple terms, it happens when your body overheats because of atmospheric heat and internal heat, and then the person falls and dies. And I was reading how people were even proposing for cooling rools in areas, like just the way you have a bus stop, you have cooling centers. When the heat is much like that, people can just go in there
and cool
and
off.
A lot of people were affected by this stuff,
just like
poor people, no ACs, they can't afford fans, and so the heat is there, and before you know, someone slumps and dies.
Just like when we had the match with the Cote d'Ivoire, remember there was a cooling off time because the heat was much for the footballers on the pitch.
So bringing it back to the environment, she mentioned something about climate change, which is something that a lot of people have been talking about. Of course, not everybody agrees on some of the politics and the things that people say regarding the subject matter, but then we cannot deny that our environment has been severely degraded.
Yes.
And it comes back to us. It's no surprise that we have a lot more sicknesses today than we had 100 years ago.
Yes, I agree.
So one of the ways we can even start looking into helping things change, alternative sources. I mean, we don't all have to use plastic. Perhaps you're an entrepreneur who wants to start producing stuff. There are paper bags that you can use. Some of these paper cups that that are being produced are also alternative means of packaging things. Paper cups, paper wrappers, paper whatever. Paper plates, because they can degrade. They are biodegradable, as opposed to the ones that if you bury. Sometimes you're trying to plant something in your compound, you will dig out a slippers that has been in that ground
for years.
I'm sure it has been there for years, and it has barely degraded.
Exactly.
Eventually these things come back to us.
Yes.
I was watching a video, I know, about a woman who did a test. She was pregnant, and how they still found traces of plastic in her blood. So some of it, even in the fish that we eat, because some people dump refuse in the seas, and the fish eat them, we eat the fish, these things find their way back into our system.
Do you know that there's an area around Ipaja that the water is not good to drink?
Wow.
Yes, up until now it's been on for years.
Contaminated water.
In fact, it doesn't make people to want to rent houses in that area. Do you understand? So it's not only how would I put it now? It's not only applicable to people in the Niger Delta. It's also here,
everywhere,
just here.
Everywhere.
You can Google it, you can fact check it. It's been there for years and not
contaminated by oil.
Yes,
you see that. So we have to create more awareness.
So the water is not drinkable, and people cannot stay in that area. In fact, a lot of their deserted area houses there, because people cannot live there for long.
Imagine that. So will we run away from the place that is supposed to shelter us? What other land do we have to go to? I like the fact that she talked about awareness. I mean, that student 200 level who went to Okokomaiko and was packing dirt for 10 hours trying to reduce that refuse dump,
Clean up campaigns like that, but it's not many. And that's why we need to keep talking about the awareness.
Exactly. We're racing towards the top of the hour. 8:43 is the time. It's World Environment Day, and we've been talking about this for some time this morning. Hopefully, you've gained one or two things, and we'll take action in that direction. All right, then. It's Smiles Radio 98.7 FM, The Breakfast Show, with the beautiful lady Timothy Peters and myself, Mr. Feeney, your host this morning. So stay tuned. Some more music coming your way. This one is from Kaid and Jackie. They call it